What's up, everybody? Grant Wise here. Welcome to the Marketing Genius Podcast. I am very excited today to be speaking to the one and only Mr. Jessie Morfin. This man is an expert when it comes to sales processes, and he's an expert in a number of areas based on the conversations that I've had with him. But, Jessie, man, thank you so much for jumping on and chat with me today.
No, not a problem, Grant. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So let's just dive right into this. Why don't you tell everybody who you are and where you came from and kind of how you got into your current business?
Perfect. So Jessie Morfin, I'm in San Bernardino, California, and currently I am in real estate sales. I've been doing real estate sales for about 15 years. I'm only 37 years old. One of the things that I was able to accomplish in that short time frame from being in the business for 15 years, I was able to develop a good, free and clear portfolio. So I literally retired from sales about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. Since then, I opened brokerage, and I wanted to streamline the sales process for a sales individual. We all know that sales is, very difficult to break into, just for the fact that, some people have books of business. The market, the technology is changing every single day. So it's one of those kind of things where, it's hard for people to just jump right in and be successful without having a mentor, or without knowing what to do next. So that's where I saw the problem, and that's where I wanted to come up with a solution for that. So I did open a real estate office. Grew it to about 36 agents. Every year we consistently been at like 175 units, closing between 50 and 60 million, with a good 10-15% growth every year. But we've only been doing that with the price point of 175,000. So it's a larger unit base, where it is bringing more sales. So I had to learn every strategy. When it comes down to face-to-face, either door knocking, farming an area, I had to, adapt to the technology when it comes down to, pixelizing and tracking people, doing Facebook ads, as well as internet sales with AdWords, in addition to, now the new craze, which is Snapchat, as well as Instagram. So sales is a everyday evolving business, and you have to stay with it. But not only do you have to adapt, but you got to find out what works for you, and where you are, in your sales profession right now.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So how could you help somebody get a mindset shift around sales? We talk to so many real estate agents, I'm sure you do too. They say, I'm not a salesperson. I do this instead. And, I have my opinions about those types of reactions to whether or not real estate agents believe they're salespeople or not. But what is some of your theology on, real estate agents actually being salespeople? And maybe if somebody's sitting here like, I'm just not convinced I'm a salesperson, what are some mindset shifts you could maybe help them overcome in a few short moments here?
Perfect. The biggest thing that I can basically tell a person that is in sales, and mindset happens to be, one of the biggest, key points. Now, in order to get your mindset right, I'm going to take a step back, and it goes back to what I was saying. Find out where you are, find out what you're good at. And I actually have a book coming out shortly. It's called Uncover the Facts, and I spell facts as FAC. So it's pretty neat that this question did come up because of the fact that if a person is brand new in sales, the facts, so FAC, the F stands for a finder, the A stands for an appointment setter, and then the C stands for a closer. As a sales individual, we got to learn all the facts, right? But, find out what you're good at. Maybe you're good at finding people. Maybe you're great at setting appointments. So you're task oriented. Or you're just an amazing closer, right? But you just can't find any business. So find out which one of those three you are, and it is going to simplify your process. I work with a person that very educated and master's degree, the whole 9 yards, ran a company, and having to have him come in and say, hey, well, you know what, you're going to start off on letter A, where it's let me teach you how to find business. it's kind of redundant where this guy is literally a team leader. So he's more on the development where he can be, now recruiting, and maybe he's not the one doing the sale, but he can learn the sales process on the way, because what he brings to the table is he brings inspiration. So he can inspire others based on the corporate background that he has, and he doesn't have to start off on step one.
I love it, man. I love it. I think that's a great illustration of, identifying your kind of like momentum phase, if you will, or your power inside of the sales process is just truly understanding what type of salesperson you really are. That's great. That's not a way that a lot of people come to think about it. If, let's say we're talking about lead generation.
Okay.
And it's like a 2-part question. So I'm going to start with the first part and then we'll go to the next. How can some agents overcome the difference in definition of follow-up? So for example, let's say I'm a team leader and I know how to follow up. I know how to close leads, but I fail maybe bringing on a team and helping them understand how to close deals. What have you seen are some of the biggest downfalls, and maybe just a couple of like tweaks that somebody could make in helping train an organization to truly understand what follow-up is?
Okay, so first part of the question, how does the person actually train someone? The point of the matter when it comes to being like a team leader is he needs to know exactly what his position is. So either he's a team leader or he's a producer. And that is one of the things that he has to determine. So if he is in the team lead role, understand in my industry, in real estate, these people, have to make a living too, right? So now they're building a team because they want to build a residual off of, that agent. The issue ends up happening is that team leader is going to be a recruiter for the rest of his life because his retention rate is going to be super low. So if he was able to, establish that relationship from the start that, I am going to trust you to oversee these leads so that you can go ahead and follow up. Now he is that manager role. So there's now 2 touches to that lead. One's going to be the follow-up that the manager is doing. And number 2 is going to be the follow-up that the agent is doing. So I'll give you a good example on that. When we go to a fast food place, right, there's a person that takes our order, and then there's a second person that is prepping our food. Well, we ended up getting our food handed to us by a third individual. So it's a process, right? So when it comes down to sales, once again, as a sales individual, we're having to, take the order, prep the deal, and we're having to close the deal ourselves. So as a team lead, when it comes to follow up, if in case the structure is there and he knows his role, he'll end up having a business where, he'll never go dry. Leads will just continue to pour in. And he's adapting to each one of the agents on their expertise. So if a person is, and I'm going to go off the subject, but right now team leaders feel that they have the responsibility to provide leads, and that is not the case. And that's one of the things that I'm finding from speaking with everyone.
Elaborate on that. Why do you feel that they don't have to do that?
Because of the fact that if they taught their people how to hunt, it would make their job so much easier and less stressful. I just got off the phone from, this is 2 days ago, right? So I had a phone call 2 days ago where out in Tennessee, this gentleman is fully marketed and he's making GCI somewhere around 1.2 million, right? He has a team of like 8 or 9 agents. And one of my friends, he's also a coach, he was telling me about the story. And he's like, it doesn't matter. Everyone, yes, in Tennessee knows exactly who he is. It's actually Nashville. So everyone in Nashville knows who this gentleman is. He does close 200 plus units. But at the end of the day, he was only taking home $87,000. So how can you, generate 1.2 million and take home 87,000? I mean, I understand you're getting, the abundance of recognition, but you're making everyone else money. And your business is not duplicatable unless you continue to drop $1 million into it every single year. So if we go back to the basics and we teach a person, how to hunt with the resources that they have, they'll be able to make a killing.
I love it. That's a great explanation. I really, really appreciate that. Do you find that, agents, individual agents, team leaders, brokerages, do you find that those types of people struggle to really predefine their sales process? Something that I'm really big on is like, it's great that you have a sales process in your head, but that's not necessarily something that is in writing. It's not a checklist that you follow, or maybe, Jesse, have you noticed any like sales tools that people have been able to use in the past to really lay out like a good sales process? Lead comes in, I'm going to take this action with this script, this action with this script, this action with this script, call, text, email, video, social. What are some ways that you help people kind of developing things like that, or do you?
So one of the things that I developed is exactly that. It's the sales process. The approach that I took on it was the fact that if I would be able to write like an A through Z, if it is a brand new sales agent or even a seasoned agent, at least they know that they have a template that they can, pick up and start right off on. So for example, if a person is newer in the business, of course, they're going to have questions. The problem about real estate sales is the fact that every deal is different. Now, the process is the same. Now, the outcome is going to be different. So one of the things is, as a team leader, what they end up finding themselves doing is they teach this teammate all their processes, right? But that's in January. And then that teammate is not going to get another deal until May. And by May, that team member has completely forgot whatever it was that he was taught back in January. And that's going to frustrate the team lead, where, problems could arise where, the agent, the team member might say, man, you know what, I don't have the support here. Or, I can't ask a question. Or, the team member might be let go just because the team lead says, maybe sales aren't for you. Or we're not a good fit for this team. But if there was a template, which is what I developed, it just makes it so much easier where I know that if we've gone to seminars, right, and at the very end, we opened up for Q&A. And when it gets to the Q&A part, it's like crickets. No one wants to ask that question just because it might not be, they might not think it's relevant. But in matter of fact, that is the part where we are lacking as sales professionals, that we think we know it all. So if we had something, a template that we can revert back to, at least now we don't have to ask that same question that only comes up every 3 or 4 months when we find the next deal. And that's, I believe that's the answer that I have is have a template A through Z. I've already created it when it comes down to a listing agent, to a buyer's agent, to a move-up buyer, to a team lead, in addition to another course of a broker owner. So it took me 3 years, and I used my own company as the model to formulate it off of.
That's awesome. So if we look out in the real estate industry, statistically, we see that real estate agents on average close or are said to close anywhere from like 1% to 3% of the leads that they generate. Do you feel like a lot of the people that you work with directly, based on your expertise, if they implement your knowledge, can increase that?
Absolutely. I've had agents that have tripled their business. The doubling part is that's bar none, like happens 100% of the time. So they double their business because here's the deal. If they haven't had business, they don't know what to do when they have business. So that's a whole completely different subject. And that is another, mindset that they have to adapt themselves to, where it's like, okay, well, now you have some money. And as you and I both know, the minute that agents end up having money, they are now attracted to the next shiny thing, the next, bell and whistle. And that takes them off course. So getting a person to double their production, easy. That's the easy part. Getting them to, compound that from going from, doubling their business to quadrupling your business, that's where the biggest headache is. And I'll tell you, the answer to getting to the quadruple business is leverage. And that's what people need to focus on.
What are like 3 ways that somebody could create leverage to get the type of growth you're describing?
A fully automatic CMA. So a CMA that sends out text messages and emails So it keeps
And
you.
just to interrupt, what's a CMA? Could you define that for somebody that doesn't
I'm
know?
sorry, a CRM, a CRM, which is a client manager system. So a system like KV Core or Conversion. I've spent,
Or Whitley, just to,
or Whitley.
if you
Yeah,
like, selfless,
right.
shameless plug. Sorry.
No, not a problem. So yeah, something that will continue to put you as the shiny object in front of your audience, in front of your clients. So just the same way we get distracted, our clients get distracted. So stay in front of them, bombard them, social media, email, hit them by land, air, and sea. And that's how you can generate, more sales.
What would you say to somebody that said, all right, Jesse, I get it, but I don't want to annoy my prospects, or I don't want to seem like I'm too pushy, or I don't want to seem like I'm trying to, go too far, because you're talking about, maybe be a little overbearing with your prospects. I think that's exactly what it takes. I agree with you wholeheartedly, but what would you say to somebody that's sitting here listening to this, like, oh, I really don't want to be a pain in somebody's butt. So how do I get over this, made up fear I might have about, pressing too much?
Look at your goals. If you don't look at your goals daily, if you don't look at, what it is that you're trying to achieve, either it's a certain house, a certain lifestyle, a certain number in your bank account. Um, and mind you, if a person doesn't want to hear from you, they opt out. So, put that issue that you have, thinking that they don't want to hear from you. You'd be surprised. Like every Monday morning, I just come in and I go to my center of influence and I send a massive text to over 500 people, and I just said, "Hey, great, welcome back to work. I hope you had a great weekend." That's it. But I just did it to 500 past clients. And of course, no one replies back. It's just the fact that I made myself known. I'm still here for you.
Awesome. So a second ago, we talked about 1 to 3% conversion rates and how people that maybe follow some of the instruction that you can give them can increase that. But it's not often people wake up on Tuesday and say, I'm going to buy a $400,000 house today, right? There's a lot of that low-hanging fruit, which is where that 1 to 3% number comes from. What do you recommend to people that what do you recommend people do for that 97% of people that haven't bought a house yet, aren't going to buy a house for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? What types of systems and strategies do you try to lay out for people long term to make sure that they're winning in the short term and they're winning kind of the long game?
Okay, so for the short term, salesperson, there's a certain audience that you have to go for, right? Somebody that's willing and able to do something right now. The easiest market that I do is I actually give I give a free gift to anyone that comes into like an open house, or I'll do a Facebook ad and I'll say, come check out this open house and receive a free gift or a free ebook or something. So if you provide something of value, people forget that they're being, that there's something behind it. So if I get somebody to show up, I know that now at least I can get to step 2, which is asking the right questions. And yes, the people that aren't really able to do something today, I put them over into an incubator. But the fastest way to generate business is face-to-face. So it's either going to be on a door knock or on an open house when it comes down to real estate agents making money today.
Awesome. Jesse, man, I really, really appreciate you jumping by and sharing some value on the podcast today. You've been definitely dropping some really great tips, both tactical and strategical things that people can do, real estate agents can do right now to go out and increase their business from a sales standpoint. Man, what are some of the best ways that somebody could connect with you if they want to learn more about your programs, they wanted to connect with you socially? Just what's the single best way that somebody could reach out to you right now if they wanted to learn more?
The single best way to just find me is going to be on Facebook. It's Jessie Garcia Morfin. So if you just go to Facebook, Jessie Garcia Morfin, you'll be able to locate me. If you go through the site, it's salesprocess101.com. Salesprocess101.com is the easiest form to know what it is that I can offer.
You guys heard it here. Make sure that you check out Jesse and a lot of his sales system, sales strategies. Sales conversion is one of the most important parts to any business. It's the lifeblood of your business. And if you do it right, you can win big. If you do it wrong, you can fail fast. So make sure that you reach out to Jesse, connect with him. Jesse, man, thanks again for being on the show.
I really appreciate your time. Thanks, Grant. Talk to you soon.
See ya.